980-1221.
Hi, this is Carretero Family.
We are from East Los Angeles, Borough Heights. You're watching Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2013. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Orden, Mack, Julian, and Peltzman are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. We'll begin this morning, as we often do, or almost always do, with Commission comments. Are there comments by Commissioners? Yes.
Yes, I just have one this morning, Madam President. I just want to, I'm sure my colleagues will join me in this, I want to acknowledge the Department and thank the Department for the tremendous efforts made over the weekend, in particular with respect to the Martin Luther King Day celebration. The breakfast was extraordinary, and I had the good fortune to ride in the parade, and the positive feeling from the crowd, the amount of support, people interested in seeing the chief, having their pictures taken with the chief and with other members of the departments is very gratifying, and I appreciate all the help provided to me so I could get in and out that day, and everything else that the department has done with that day and what it represents with the community. Thank you.
I'd like to echo Mr. Salt's comments, and also I want to thank the chief for his wonderful introduction of the keynote speaker at the Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, our own Commissioner, John Mack, and recognizing John's extraordinary accomplishments and also contributions to the success of the department over the last 10 years. So, Chief, those were well-deserved remarks, and then, of course, our keynote speaker was outstanding as well. So it was a terrific breakfast all around.
Any other comments? Well, it has been said by my commissioners already, but I certainly join in those same feelings. It was a very inspiring morning breakfast with community members, with members of the department, and particularly enjoyed hearing John Mack, as we have often heard him before, but it was a time of real celebration and a recognition of the difference that John Mack has made to our community and to this department. And with that, the report of the Chief of Police.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you to all, especially to Commissioner Mack for your participation and attendance at the 4th annual Martin Luther King breakfast. That's a really special event to me because I spent so much of my life policing South Los Angeles and being involved with that community, and to see all the friends and the progress and all the little totems of success that come out and are recognized during that breakfast is really remarkable, you know. And it's not just police commissioners and dignitaries that attend that breakfast. You know, it is the folks that we work with day to day, and that, I think that's what makes it so special. On to my report, as usual, on crime. You know, it's way too early to make comparisons with numbers. I'll just say that for this year, we continue crime reduction of the last 10 years. We are down in every category of Part 1 crime as compared to last year. You know, the numbers are very flexible because the early state of the year, but certainly better to start with a decrease than an increase, and so we're starting off the year very well. Also very pleased to give the personnel statistics, at least on the sworn side of the House. 10,010 Los Angeles police officers assigned. We have Level 1 reserve officers, 280. Level 2 is 20. Level 3 is 110. We have over 1,000 volunteers. On the other side of the ledger, we have 476 civilian vacancies and 2,871 civilians assigned. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. A report of the Executive Director.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. No report today.
And the report of the Inspector General?
Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. No report from me as well.
We have the information items today, filed items. We have noise variance permits on file. More details are in the full agenda. And special events permits on file, also more details in the special agenda. And I think I know the answer to this already, but are there any presentations today?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you. I get the great honor and pleasure of being able to make the presentation to Mike Cubasi today, and let me just read what is going to be in the scroll. The members of the Los Angeles Police Commission salute you for your heroic efforts on January 17, 1994, during the aftermath of the Northridge earthquake. Your bravery and quick thinking on that historic day saved several lives, and you are to be commended for this unbelievable act of humanity and courage. The Northridge Meadows apartment complex was devastated in Northridge earthquake, as so many of you know, with levels of living spaces pancaking on top of each other. It was easily the most well-known point of the disaster, as the horrific images of the quake's destruction were televised. After being awakened at 4:31 a.m. that fateful morning by the loud rumbling, you immediately proceeded to see where you could assist others in the crumpled structure. You saved 5 individuals. One of them, now your wife, Patricia Sildren, and one of them being Los Angeles police officer Joseph Jordan, who went on to save more lives in the Northridge Meadows apartment complex. Your heroic efforts have saved and changed lives. You provided an example of the best humanity that can be in the bleakest of situations. You are and will always be considered a hero by the city of Los Angeles. On behalf of the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department, we truly thank you. Just a moment, we'll have your scroll, and I know you have your family with us, and I would love to have them join us at the same time for the picture. Of course, some of you here will recognize that the Northridge earthquake was a while away, and unfortunately we didn't truly recognize you as a department at that very time, but we don't think there's ever any time too late to say thank you and appreciation and gratitude for all you've done. You're very, very welcome. So, you could just come over here and have your family join you. Come around. And we now go to the consent agenda items. Are there any that you wish to discuss? As always, some of the items do include contributions that the community makes to the department, both as volunteers and fiscal contributions. And I will just call attention to, on the consent agenda, 7E, which is excellent contribution by the Los Angeles Police Foundation, allowing the department to replace 2 retired service police dogs and to fill another vacancy of a value of $30,000 in dollars, and much more value in terms of lives potentially saved and lives protected by those dogs. Is there a motion?
I move approval of consent items 7A through J.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And on to the regular agenda item. The first item was to have been A, which is a verbal presentation update from the commanding officer and Community Police Advisory Board regarding the harbor area. And I understand, Executive Director,
Yes, Madam President, we received a call yesterday and this morning also that the civilian co-chair is not available, so they'd like to continue that to a future date when they're both available, the captain and the civilian co-chair.
great, and we look forward to hearing from the department and the civilian co-chair when it's calendared. Then we'll go straight on to B, which is the department's verbal presentation and discussion regarding the current backlog on latent fingerprints. Deputy Chief Albanese.
Good morning, members of the Commission. Kirk Albanese, Chief of Detectives. With me, Doreen and Denise from SID. Denise is on the latent print side of the house. Doreen is acting for a vet right now in terms of being the acting commanding officer of Scientific Investigation Division. We reported on this subject in October, and as the Commission knows, the latent print section is down personnel. Currently at 67, their strength is 96, and so as a result of that, as reported at the last back in October, we have a backlog. We continue to have a backlog, but a number of things have occurred that I believe are positive and worthy of mention. First off, you have the matrix in front of you that speaks to. Do you have the matrix in front of you? This is strictly verbal.
So.
I apologize. So let me tell you then. In terms of 2010, 2011 backlog, we have not made progress in that regard. In terms of 2012, through the fourth quarter, end of December, we have 1,353 cases that are in backlog. And really what that represents is as follows. Based on the current
Say
strength...
that number again. Say the number in backlog. I'm sorry.
1353.
Okay, great.
That's only for 2012, right?
That's correct, Commissioner. That's for 2012. What that represents is this. SID, based on its current strength at latent print section, has the capacity to handle 380 cases a month. They're taking in 525 cases a month on average. So 145 or so cases, or roughly 1,800 cases a year, are going to go into backlog. That's the negative. The positive is they handle, of the 380 that they have capacity for, they handle 150 violent crime cases a month, and all of those are being processed. In addition, as reported in October, we have prioritized with each of the 21 geographic areas, and the detective commanding officers at those areas identified 10 property crime cases that they believe to be the most important to them every deployment period. And the return, they communicate that to SID, and the return is within 8 weeks that they get that information back from SID. Now, since August, when that program began...
Pardon me, Chief. of these, would you outline for us how these cases are being prioritized, which ones are receiving the highest priority?
Certainly, Commissioner. The local detective division at each of the 21 police stations, they take a look, they sit down with their table coordinators, and they determine what 10 cases they want to put forward. Again, those are just property crimes. Are they having a series of burglaries where they want a certain number of those cases prioritized? Are they having a problem as it relates to burglary, theft from vehicle? Do they want those cases prioritized, or a combination? But they make that decision locally. And then they communicate to SID, latent print section, what their priority is each deployment period. Now, since this program began, 800...
Where the violent crimes...
all the violent...
How are they prioritized?
I'm sorry, say again.
Violence.
The violent crime?
Yeah.
Those don't need to be prioritized. They're all being done, Commissioner.
They receive top priority.
They're top priority. Every violent crime that is processed is being analyzed. That has not changed at all. As it relates to the property crime now, on the prioritization, since the inception of this program, 807 cases have been prioritized by the areas, resulting in 158 potential suspects being identified. That percentage is higher than what we've seen traditionally, and I think that, again, the value of what is happening now as a collaboration between operations and SID is that these are fresh cases. These are cases where the same detective is still sitting on the table and is interested in the case, and he or she is getting a return on that investment within 8 weeks. I believe that that's a very positive thing, and this speaks to the value of that. SID has not met the mark, has not failed to meet the mark as it relates to the 8 weeks. They have gotten all of these results back within 8 weeks of being submitted. So again, that's moving along in a very positive way, and we see no reason to change that. It's, again, I think a win-win for all concerned based on a difficult situation that we're dealing with. Long-term, we have the ALPO program. We're going to continue to train to make sure that the officers in the field are evaluating what they're printing and making sure that what they're printing is going to have investigative value, not just printing to say you printed, but print where you think investigative value will reward in terms of our ability to identify a suspect in a particular case. And then the last thing I want to mention, and open it up for questions if there are any, is that this whole process is in a constant state of analysis. SID is analyzing to making sure they're being as efficient and as effective as they can with the resources they have available. IAS, Investigative Analysis Section, in my office is looking at these cases constantly to remove those cases that don't need to be analyzed. And Robbery Homicide Division, as it relates to the cold case, of which we have 492 cold case homicides right now, they're in a state of evaluation in terms of evaluating whether or not there have been duplicate requests, if the case has been made in another way, say through DNA, and the case has been filed and we don't need the prints anymore. So everybody's in a constant state of analysis to make sure that we're using our finite resources as wisely as we possibly can.
They are definitely finite, and obviously we're hopeful that we would continue to have the shortages there. But certainly, I think as Commissioner Mack indicated, prioritization is absolutely crucial, and that's obviously already making some difference. Are there some questions?
It sounds to me like you're never going to be able to address the backlog, because even if you get up to full strength, all that's going to let you do is to, on a going forward basis, handle all of the requests that you actually get.
You're absolutely right, Commissioner. And the reality is that as it relates to the 2010-2011 cases, there are cases every day that fall out of statute that we won't get to. That's the cold, hard reality of dealing with this. The other reality is that when people are hired, if and when we're able to hire, there's a training period that they have to go through and a learning curve that they have to experience. And so what we want to make sure right now is that all violent crime is being analyzed, as Commissioner Mack, you asked about, and that in terms of property crime, that it's being prioritized locally. What's important to the detectives at the stations, they're communicating that, and those are being analyzed. And to the rest of it, we'll do the best we can, but you're correct. There's going to be backlog that we won't get to.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you, recognizing that we're obviously facing very, very tight budgetary constraints, what are the prospects for, from a resource standpoint, for being able to secure additional funding to enable you to, staff up SID?
We're hopeful that as time passes and the budget situation improves, that we will be able to do that. But it doesn't appear that that's going to happen anytime soon, Commissioner. And so we want to make the most out of what resources we have available to us right now and work as smart as we can work under the present circumstances. And I think we're doing that, at least in my judgment we are. And would certainly welcome the ability to staff up and get those people in the training process. That we're hopeful that the sun rises in that regard as soon as possible.
But right now,
But for right now,
it's dark.
This is the hand we've been dealt, and we're playing it.
One other question. Do you have any ability to look at the backlog, particularly the backlog for 2010 and 2011, and either make sure that there are no violent crimes in that backlog, or to assess whether or not there are any particular cases in that backlog that you should be looking at? I know you're relying on the local areas to prioritize on a going forward basis, and that seems to make some sense. And I do think the approach you're taking is certainly the right approach. But the only question I have, is there any ability, or do you have any leftover resource that would allow you to look at the backlog and make sure that there aren't any cases in there that should be prioritized?
It's a good question. First of all, in your remarks, there are no violent crime cases within that backlog. The violent crime cases have all been analyzed. As it relates to cases within that backlog that may have value to one of the local areas, the fingerprint database has been made available to all areas. They have the ability to go back and look at previous cases and make a determination as to whether or not they want to prioritize. So Wilshire, for example, Commissioner, could prioritize a case from 2011 or 2010 and make that one of their 10. So we've made the database available. We've provided the training so they can go to current cases, or they can reach back because they identified something they want done, and we'll do that as well. And they know that.
Well, that really, I think, makes a lot of sense. That it's really not up to SID to be able to look at those cases in the backlog and say they're particularly important. But as long as the areas are aware of that ability, I think that's the right approach.
Just to, put my perspective on what Kirk's talking about. The Detective Bureau, Chief of Detectives, and SID have done a tremendous job with what they have. But this is the reality of underfunding the police department. You cannot do the things that you should be able to do. And I think that sometimes, because we continue to get overall positive results, continue to reduce crime, people believe there's no cost to cutting the police department's budget by $100 million a year. There is, and this is it. And as we go forward through this year, particularly if the city's unsuccessful in generating additional revenues through sales tax or whatever other means, we will see more of this. And it will be in other areas. It'll be in 911 operations. It'll be in reduced patrol resources in the areas. It'll be in all aspects of policing. So, but I don't want to diminish what has occurred here, because they have done a tremendous job and really have reformed and rethought and restructured and re-engineered the way that we looked at the technical side of SID, the latent print shop in particular, completely. They've completely changed the way that they do it. and it's been a long process, starting when I was there, and Kurt has taken it to a new level. And I just want to thank the folks at SID, particularly Leighton Prince, done a great job. And up until last week, under some very, very trying circumstances. How's the new building?
We love it.
Well, we'll try to get you some company in that new building.
Well, thank you very much, and it's good to hear all of the proactive steps that you've taken under these difficult circumstances. We really appreciate it, and I know the public really appreciates it.
Thank you very much.
And Commissioners, you'll have another report in April for this quarter that we're in now.
And now to the department's report, C, regarding the proposal for performance auditing training. Captain Wakefield.
Good morning. With me today I have Lieutenant Cheryl Brada. She's the officer in charge of inspections and training. And also with me in the audience I have Police Performance Auditor Martin Crone, who worked on this RFP for the last 7 months, along with a few of the contract section people. Nancy is one of them, and also Julie Munson. So before you is a rather lengthy request, but it's actually 22 pages of reasoning why we want to submit this RFP, request for proposal. We have been conducting or holding conferences, seminars, symposiums for the last going on 3 years, just to make sure that our auditors and our sworn receive continuing professional education points, which are required for the auditors to maintain their accreditation. And that is also required for their employment as auditors for this department. And so looking at the budgetary restraints, which we started to see back in 2010, we had to think of another way to continue to do this. It was very laborious for us. My staff, especially Marty, was working on this pretty much full time, along with help from the other sworn and civilians in my command, and really doing a magnificent job on a shoestring budget, if any budget at all. And the one place that we could always go to was the Police Foundation, which would help us out, but they could not commit to that until usually a short period before we actually had the conference or seminar. So my checking account, I had to always keep a little extra in there if I could, just to help bail us out if we needed to. But the benefit of this is the fact that we're going to continue to have professional auditing on this department that is world-renowned. In fact, we are asked to go to other countries to help set up audit shops, even within the county. The Sheriff's Department recently we worked extensively with, and they do go to our audits, or our seminars, our conferences. And so in an effort to do that, we had to think a little out of the box. And I think this is a 2-year proposal contract that can be looked at any time, and I think it would be very beneficial to the department. I'm hoping that the Commission will approve this so we can get moving on it, because we have plans to at least have 2 to 3 conferences, seminars every year. And another bit of information, 14 auditors, 31 sworn. Many of the sworn have certifications in either fraud or CPA. We have a couple of CPAs and other certifications. But they're required to have 20 continuing professional education points a year, and it may increase to 40. And to send them elsewhere and pay for that is either we can't do it, and then we jeopardize our program. So this is why we're asking your approval of this proposal.
Questions?
Just a couple comments. I want to commend you on what seems to me to be a pretty creative approach to this problem. And I think, as you and I discussed this morning, this is a first attempt, and we can be optimistic that it will succeed and perhaps grow. The one point I just wanted to make for the benefit of my fellow commissioners that you and I talked about was I had raised a question about the intellectual property rights to the substance of the material in the trainings, because the way I read the proposal, the department would not keep those rights, but in fact they would go to the proposer, and my understanding is that's incorrect. That in fact the department will maintain the intellectual property rights in the audit expertise that it brings to the table, and that makes sense to me.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. We do need to revise that sentence to include that the department shall maintain the intellectual property rights for our material, and that the provider and the presenter will negotiate the intellectual property rights amongst themselves.
I think some of us as lawyers are surprised at the degree of continuing education. Lawyers do not have numbers as high as those. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Move approval of item 8C.
Second.
With the modification that has been mentioned.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I guess thank Police Performance Auditor Martin Crone a great deal for the very long time he's worked on this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did a terrific job.
And I think we are now at public comment period.
We have one public comment card. Daniel Jones.
Good morning. Those intellectual property rights, is that a secret from the people as far as the performance of these police officers? Is that the intellectual rights you're talking about? All right. I'm going to read some. This is a radical view and revolutionary departure from traditional view held from the 14th to the 19th century, that this chapter we have a classical statement of the right of the subject to a trial by due process of common law. Our greatest constitutional check upon arbitrary infringements of liberty of the individual, whose ultimate effect was to give and to guarantee full protection of their property and person to every human being who breathes English air. A nation grows weaker, not stronger, when dissident voices are silenced and civil liberties stripped away. Benjamin Franklin said it best. Any society that would give up a little liberty, Corporal, to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. This is a little contextual or context for you lawyers. 1978, the FISA court. If you believe that someone was acting as either a spy or a terrorist on behalf of a foreign power, now we're just basically American citizens, you didn't have to show crime was committed. Now this worked pretty well, but there's a problem. In the mid-90s, when international terrorist incidents grew in number, there were a couple of cases that gave the Department of Justice and the judges on the FISA court a kind of an eye-opening revelation was to keep our secret court from being abused. And who would the secret FISA courts be used to bypass the due process and no more become an end run around the regular criminal process? I'm going to get it. Well, good day.
Thank you.
I believe we have more public comment cards. Ron Weekly.
How's everybody doing today?
Good
morning.
Thank you.
I don't really do this too often. I wanted to start off. If you're wondering why my face is contorted the way it is, it's because I'm still suffering from the broken cheekbone. What I'm asking today is for the LAPD to be releasing the surveillance video that was recorded from my apartment complex of the beating I received on August 18th. So just please, it would help a lot. A lot of people will understand how everything happened and how I was completely innocent. So, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you for being here. And with that, we will...
I think we have...
I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ronald Weekly Sr., followed by Benjamin Crump.
Good morning. I want to thank the Commission for allowing me this opportunity. I'm the father of Ron Weekly Jr., who just spoke. I join him in his request for the tape to be released in regard to the event that happened in early August. But in addition to that, on behalf of my family and the Venice community, we believe that the damage done to the community and the LAPD, emotionally, morally, and financially, stemming from both causes of action and settled excessive forces and bias enforcement cases, can be substantially reduced by investing in healthy policing. We believe that a healthy community is essential to the well-being of all those who live in Venice and the Los Angeles area. Therefore, we propose that the LAPD implement the following solutions to ensure that the men and women that we give the monumental task to protect and serve are healthy. Number one, the immediate implementation of testing on all police officers for steroids, testosterone, prescription drugs, and all other known drugs and enhancements. This testing is to be done on all officers randomly twice a year within 24 hours of a use of force incident. All testing results are to be made public, either specific or summary, on an annual basis. This testing, we believe, will reduce the number of use of force incidents born out of excessive and unnatural aggressiveness and irritability caused by the aforementioned drugs. This will also increase the number of healthy officers serving our community. And there's a precedent for this in New Jersey. The police chief there has implemented steroid and testosterone testing because of the number of cases that are being presented against officers. Number two, the immediate administration of the implicit association test to all officers, and to include this test in the training of all new officers. This test is to be retaken by officers every 3 years. All testing results are to be made public, specific or summary on an annual basis. We believe this testing will identify those officers who are predisposed toward or who are biased against all specific groups. Bias policing...
Excuse me, your 2 minutes is up. If you have that in writing, we'd like to have it presented to us in total.
And one more.
One more.
One more. Great. The immediate implementation of PTSD testing for any and all officers who may be suffering for the after effects of violence and trauma before, on, or off the job.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, thank you. And just so you know, I'm circulating this around the Los Angeles area, groups, families.
At the conclusion of this, I'd like you to be speaking to the Inspector General as well. But just 2 minutes on the public comment, please.
Oh, thank you.
Benjamin Crump.
Thank you. I'm Attorney Benjamin Crump, and I've been retained by the families of Ronald Weekly as well as the family of Alicia Thomas, along with Attorney Stephen Effers. We're here simply to say that we have on numerous occasions requested the video of the last moments of Alicia Thomas's life. Her mother is here, Sandra Thomas, and they come imploring you, begging you to instruct the police chief and the department to release the video so they could see what happened the last moments of her life while in police custody. They hired us to get answers, and so far we haven't got any answers from the LA Police Department. We all know the story. She took her children there to a safe haven, and then for that the police came to arrest her. They claim she resisted. 5 officers have been suspended. She died on July 22nd, 2012, 6 months ago to today. For 6 months, this family has been dying to know what happened to Alicia Thomas. Her children ask questions, what happened to her mother. What is it on that videotape that they can't see? That's all they're asking. They've been told that they have to file a lawsuit to get the videotape. Why would they have to go through all those links just to see what happened? If it was your child, your loved one, wouldn't you want to see that videotape? It's insult to injury to say, we have a videotape. We know she was leg swiped. We know that she was hobble-tied. We know that she couldn't breathe and stuff, and we think she was, we know she was kicked in her female genitals, but yet you can't see the video. We're here demanding the release of that video. People around America are demanding that video. I do civil rights cases all across this country, and they have a right to see the video.
Thank you. Philip Washington.
Yes, good morning, Commission. Chief Beck, I'm the parent of the youngest child. And again, we just want to see the video. That's all. It's kind of hard dealing with a 4-year-old when asked what happened to Mom. And I tell her Mom sleeps with the angels now. On one occurrence, we were driving down the street, and we seen a patrol car, a routine stop, and my daughter's sitting in her car seat in the back. She says, Dad, look, the police is pulling them over. Are they going to kill her? You know, for a 4-year-old to believe that the police is going to just kill them for no reason is just not good. So we just want to know the truth. That's all, just the basic truth. And I believe that the video will bring it out. Just it's no harm, no foul. If there's something that needs to be adjusted or corrected with the police department because of this, then it's better for the truth to be known and for the public to see what's going on, and that's all that we ask. That's all. Just release the video, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Effers.
Good morning, everybody. With Benjamin Crump, I've been hired to seek some answers as well, and I know that Chief Beck has stated publicly that it's important to show transparency for a situation like this. And what's very important is that there be community confidence in the Los Angeles Police Department. And in order to obtain that goal, it's going to be very important to release the video so that the family, the community can gain the confidence to know that the right thing will be done in the future and to see whether or not the right thing was done in this situation. A woman takes her children to what she thinks is a safe haven, and it turns out that she dies while in the custody of the police, and there is at least one dash cam video, if not more, and the family has not had the opportunity to see it. The community confidence depends, relies, mandates really that this video be released, and that will turn the actual words of Chief Beck into something that really has meaning. And so to force the family to file a lawsuit in order to see the video of what happened to their daughter is just plain morally wrong. And so we implore you to contact us so that we can solve this issue and release that video.
Thank you.
No other public comment.
Thank you very much. Yes, we certainly want her to speak if she wishes. We just didn't have the card.
Good morning. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Sandra Thomas, Bishop Thomas's mother. I'm surprised about my daughter, having this, surprise. It was a surprise. I don't know how to describe it. Because I've worked downtown for Board of Supervisors, and I've really put in a lot of effort with helping our society out and raising my kids right with the mother and father. And this Licious, her nickname is Tina Girl. She was so cute as a little infant. She grew up, I kept her in the house all the time. I would let her go visit the nights at Red's house. And she was just a daddy's baby. She always loved being in her daddy's arms. And she was suffered from depression after her father died. And she went through some bad experiences, and she came back and tried to be happy with her kids. She did very, very good with her children. They had everything that they need for anything and want for anything. They were just so happy with their mom. And she took them to the police department. I lived in Temple City then. She lived in L.A. I don't know how bad she was feeling, how much money she had, where she couldn't drive the kids to me. But she took the kids. I would always tell her on the weekend that I have to work. She wanted to keep the kids. She needed some time out, and she really wasn't feeling well. So that was one reason why she took them to the police department, because she figured I was going to come pick them up. She knew I was going to go get them. All that they had to do was just follow up with it wasn't a note. I heard so much in the newspaper that the note said, read, she was a drug addict. It had nothing but my phone number for the desk officer to give me a call for me to come pick the kids up. And I'm sorry, everybody that knows my daughter from this incident, I apologize for her, because under these circumstances, she wouldn't want you to meet her that way, and me either. So I would really appreciate if they let us see this video.
I appreciate that.
Everybody needs to see that.
As I said, I would like the individuals to be able to speak with the Inspector General and just close off the 2 minutes now.
Okay,
I thank you very much.
And that's it, okay? I don't want to take more of your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
No other comment.
All right, we'll adjourn to the closed session.
Commissioner, can I add one thing? You know, if it's all right with the commission, I'll have Chief Jacobs give the family and their representatives some of the timeline regarding potential release, so that they have that. I know the Inspector General will also talk to them about that.
Perfect. I appreciate that very much, Chief.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item numbers 10A, 1, 2, and 3 in accordance with Government Code 54957. Item 10A1 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Item 10A2 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Item 10A3 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Madam President, is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion? Move to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Hi, I'm Shannon Lamert Park. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Can the massive water demands of a self-contained community be environmentally friendly?
Can expanding the number of transportation systems actually help improve air quality?
Can a community's electrical needs be met in an energy-efficient way?
Can world-class airports be innovators and friends of the environment in their use of energy?
Yes.
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 As challenging and complex as these questions truly are, 3 Southern California airports are offering innovative and positive answers through new technologies and a deep commitment to